In this day 4 we shall be discussing, this is the first image that we have. So, newborn presents with the following presentation per annus. This is very easy. So, following presentation is seen, you can see that there is nothing known as annus. So, point number 1 is, what is it? So, one thing is clear that it is an imperforate annus. Had the male genital system, urinary system not developed, then I would have called persistent cloaca, and this is seen in females, not in males. Very rarely it is seen. So, is it a rectovesical fistula? No. This is, can you see the stain of meconium, but ideally this should be the anal opening, which is absent. So, one thing is clear that it is imperforate annus, and along with that there is an opening onto the skin. So, along with that there is cutaneous fistula. So, where perianal fistula. So, cutaneous perianal fistula. So, I would say that the answer for this is imperforate annus with a fistula, and what type? Perineal fistula. Now, very quickly we shall discuss about the concept of imperforate annus. Very important for your exam. 90% of the students, they are always confused. So, when we talk about imperforate annus, or you can say, let us talk about the concept of anal atresia also in that case. So, anal atresia or imperforate annus. What are the take home points? What are the most important things that we need to understand? That this is a congenital anomaly which may be associated with vectorial group of defects. So, you might be getting across these vectorial group of defects. The next very important is, sir, imperforate annus means the anus opening is not there. Yeah. So, what are the two types of imperforate annus or anal atresias? So, when we talk about imperforate annus, we have two standard types. The first is, we have a low type, and the second type is high type. So, what do you mean by low type or a high type? Try to understand. If we see the normal anatomy, so this is the rectum, and this rectum will continue and reach the anus. So, do you know that there is something which is known as pelvic floor, and who is making the pelvic floor? It is the levator ani. So, remember, if the termination of this rectum is above the levator ani, so if the distal end of rectum is above the levator ani, this is what is known as the high type. And if the termination is below levator ani, then that is known as low type. बच्चे, दूसरा क्वेश्चन आपके एग्जाम में क्या आ सकता है? You can easily get a question that what classification do we use for the anal atresias. So, we have a Pennas classification. Now, when we talk about the Pennas classification, what is Pennas classification? Pennas classification is a classification for imperforate annus. Now, when we are talking about the concept of imperforate annus, for males it shall be different, for females it is different. Very easy, and within 2 minutes you will understand each and everything. So, I will discuss via this image everything. So, imperforate annus, either it could be imperforate annus, point number 1, or it could be imperforate annus with fistula. Now, when you talk about imperforate annus with fistula, what are the things that you get to see? It could be with perineal fistula, that means perineal cutaneous fistula. The opening is there onto the skin, but not on the right place where the anal opening is there. The second is imperforate annus with rectourethral. Now, here we have two types of rectourethral. We have the bulbar urethral, prostatic urethral. So, it depends upon where it is. So, it could be the bulbar, or it could be the prostatic. Now, what is the classical difference between the bulbar and the prostatic? This is a low type, and the prostatic variety is a high type. This is important. The third is, it could be rectovesical, so into the bladder. Again, this is a high type of fistula. Next is, when we talk about the females, we can get to see persistent cloaca. So, persistent cloaca, where the urinary opening, the anal opening, the opening of the genital, you can say, or organ, they are all commonly fused because of the urogenital septum that didn't mature. So either it could be persistent cloaca, or it could be rectovestibular. What do you mean by vestibular? Into the opening into the vagina. Or it could be rectovesicular. So rectocutaneous, rectovesicular, rectovestibular. Rectovesical is rare in the females. So most common, this is the most common. If someone asks you what is the most common defect in females, this is. Now what is the management? Let us quickly understand the management. So how do you confirm? Investigation of choice. So once you have a clinical suspicion, lateral abdominal X-ray. So lateral abdominal X-ray, on table you will place the patient with a radio, you can say with a radio opaque marker at the anus. Why radio opaque marker at anus is required? So that you can see whether it is not the you can say whether it is not the artifact defect. So you will place a marker here, tracer here, and then you can check the where the gas is coming. Or you can say invertogram also. When we talk about invertogram X-ray, you hold the baby upside down so that you can see where the gas is going. If it is within 2 centimeters of the, you can say, of the radio tracer that you have placed at the anus, then that is a low type. More than that, it's considered as a high type. Remember, all these things, they are important, is they are done at least 12 to 24 hours later. So lot of people say within 6 hours, no, 12 to 24 hours later. And what is the management? Remember, if it is a low type, you can go for definite surgery. And what is definite surgery? We will go for PSAR, posterior rectal, you can say posterior sagittal anorectoplasty. Posterior sagittal, basically this is a pull through. For the high type, during birth, the first line management is go for a diversion colostomy, and after 3 months, so 3 months later, once the baby has gained weight, matured enough, and then you can go for PSAR. This is what is the standard management. Let us go to the other image. So we have seen this. Okay. So now we get the next question. This is again a very easy question. A patient of chronic venous insufficiency presents with pigmentation and ulceration over the limb. Now you know that every exam we get questions on the SEEP classification, and this question is on SEEP. So when we talk about SEEP, before we go into the crux or before we go into the depth, what are the important things? So what are the important things that we need to understand? This is a grading for chronic venous insufficiency, and then again we will come back to this image. Very quickly we will come back to this image. So C stands for the clinical assessment, then E stands for etiology, then A stands for anatomy, and then P stands for pathophysiology. So these are certain important things that we need to understand. When we talk about C, what is C1? C1 includes all the vessels which are less than 3 mm. So it could be the reticular veins or it could be the telangiectasias. So telangiectasias are included here, and the reticular veins are included in this. When we talk about C2, what is C2? C2 stands for varicose vein. So what is varicose vein? The tortuous vessels which are more than what? 3 mm. So C2 stands for varicose veins. Now very easy question. Whenever you get a question on this C1, C2, C3, but say if the patient is asymptomatic, just a minute. If the patient is asymptomatic, then that is known as C2A. What do you mean by C2A? That the patient is asymptomatic. What do you mean by C2S? The patient is having symptomatic. बच्चे नीट पीजी 2022 में क्वेश्चन आया, they have given a photo with a tortuous vein and they have asked C2A, B, C and D. बच्चे कोई सिम्टम नहीं है तो एसिम्टोमेटिक, B, C, D बोल के कुछ नहीं होता है, C2S. And suppose the patient has undergone a treatment and recovered and it has again occurred, so that is known as C2R. So ये चीज़ याद रखना, this is C2A, this is C2S, C2R. Then what is C3 students? C3 stands for edema. Ab INI set 2023, the question was eczema. Remember, all the skin changes are actually included here. So skin related changes. So when we talk about skin changes, what do we mean by this? Students, C4A, pigmentation. This is pigmentation. Then we talk about C4B. This is lipodermatosclerosis. Lipodermatosclerosis. And the third is C4C, that is atrophy blanchi. What is atrophy blanchi? What is the difference between atrophy blanchi and lipodermatosclerosis? बच्चे, in lipodermatosclerosis we have a long segment fibrosis with narrowing of the leg. In atrophy blanchi, there is a patch of fibrosis with the reticular veins secreting around, and that is why it is also known as the corona phlebiectasia. This is also known as corona phlebiectasia. So when we talk about what is C5, C5 means a ulcer, but it has healed. So healed ulcer. And when we talk about C6, this is defined as non-healing ulcer. This is really very important. So this is about C. I'll give you the entire C for that. E, congenital. It could be E, primary, when it is not by birth but not associated with any cause, and ES means secondary to any cause. A, superficial venous system, if it is involving the perforator system, then that is AP, and if it is involving the deep venous system, it is AD. Then pathophysiology, either it could be obstructive or it could be related with the incompetent walls or reflux, या फिर PO plus R. Now let us read this question. Let us read this question and answer each and everything. Bachche, if you see this defect, what are you seeing? Sir, I can see an ulcer, and this ulcer is still not healed. So forget about anything. So we will be writing this to be C6. So question का तो answer आ गया, but no, this is not the way. Write the complete answer. A patient with chronic insufficiency presents with pigmentation and ulceration. So pigmentation means C4A, and along with that you have C6. The patient underwent a Doppler scan which shows echogenic debris in the popliteal vein. Popliteal vein कौन सी होती है? Deep venous system. Now with below knee incompetent perforators, some perforators are also not working, and popliteal, you can say, vein is not working. The patient has a history of DVT. अब ये देखो, ये कब हो रहा है? By birth? No. There is a cause? Yes, after DVT. So etiology is secondary to DVT. Anatomy की अगर बात करोगे तो deep venous system is the popliteal vein which is involved, so AD. Perforators are also involved, so I will write P. Remember, there is echogenic debris. So कहीं भी अगर debris होगा तो obstruction भी होगा. अगर walls या perforators गड़बड़ होंगे, so there will be reflux also. So अगर मुझसे कोई कहता है कि what will be the complete SEEP for this patient, I would write it as C4A plus 6 ES AD plus P PO plus R. O क्यों? ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव क्यों? बिकॉज इकोजेनिक डेब्री. आर क्यों? बिकॉज परफोरेटर्स गड़बड़ है, इसलिए रिफ्लक्स. ए डी क्यों? क्योंकि पॉप्लिटियल वेन इज इन्वॉल्व. ए पी क्यों? बिकॉज द perforator system is involved. Why it is ES? Because remember students, it is secondary to the DVT which happened 6 months back. So this is how you will conclude the SEEP. ऐसे नहीं करोगे कि बस C1 C2, आजकल बहुत सारी चीज़ें चल रही हैं. Next is let us again see what questions. So we have completed, I've started from back. So we have completed almost all of them. Now let us go and understand this question. Very easy question. Identify the defect shown in this, you can say, image. पहली बात तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि if I ask you what surgery this is, so this is a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. So what surgery is this? This is Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. 90% of the students को तो यही नहीं समझ में आता है कि भाई ये सर्जरी कौन सी है. मेरे से भी कह रहा था सर गैस्ट्रिक्टमी है. कौन सी गैस्ट्रिक्टमी? सो दिस इज अ बेरियाट्रिक सर्जरी. व्हाट बेरियाट्रिक सर्जरी? सर इट इज अ Roux-en-Y गैस्ट्रिक बाईपास. 2 क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू दिस. व्हाट, उसके बाद हम बात करेंगे व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ दिस सर्जरी. द नेचर ऑफ दिस सर्जरी, इज इट रिस्ट्रिक्टिव or is it malabsorptive? Sir, it is a combination of restrictive also, and it is a combination of restrictive plus malabsorptive. Why it is malabsorptive, why it is restrictive? इसको ऐसे समझने की कोशिश करो can you see there is a small gastric pouch? Since there is a small gastric pouch, one thing is clear that this is the restrictive component. 99% ऑफ फैकल्टीज उल्टा सीधा बताते हैं, बच्चे वो बताते हैं मैं करता हूँ. सो मेरे कॉन्सेप्ट इज रॉक सॉलिड इन दिस. द सेकेंड इज, कैन यू सी now the food is directly going into this roux limb. Can you see this is roux limb and this is not containing any enzyme. Why it is not containing any enzyme? Because bile and pancreatic juice will come and join and then only the assimilation will start. So can you see in roux and Y gastric bypass you have a small gastric pouch and the average length of roux limb in a normal patient it is 40 to 50 centimeter, average is 45. Remember in bariatric surgery it is kept more than 100 centimeters. It also depends upon the BMI. अगर 50 plus है तो 120 भी रख सकते हैं. Remember बच्चे there is 120 centimeter of the roux limb which has been wasted क्योंकि इसके अंदर कुछ नहीं है, पाइप की तरह काम कर रहा है. Entire duodenum and some part of the proximal jejunum is also wasted and therefore you can understand why it is malabsorptive. So there is malabsorption also because of the long roux limb and it is restrictive also. So first of all ये किस category में आती है? Restrictive plus malabsorptive surgery. अब question आया कि sir this is roux and Y gastric bypass and when we talk about roux and Y gastric bypass this is the transverse colon. So what kind of anastomosis do? We always take the retrocolic, you can say, window or retrocolic assessment. Retrocolic path is taken. Why? So that we minimize actually the compression on the transverse colon also, and also we reduce the distance gap between the, you can say, the stomach and the target from the side where you are mobilizing. अब देखो problem क्या होती है? Now this is a defect in mesentery of the transverse colon. समझते जाना. So when there is defect in mesentery of transverse colon, sir, anything can pop out through this, and if anything pops out through this, it can result in hernia. So this is known as transmesocolic hernia. बच्चे Peterson hernia मत बोल देना. This is not Peterson hernia. So transmesocolic hernia. And this is what is known as A. So जो फोटो में A बना है, this is transmesocolic hernia. This is a transmesocolic defect. दूसरी चीज है, sir, the viscera something can go from beneath, and this is, can you see there is a gap here and anything can go from this space. So this is known as the Peterson's hernia. So what is Peterson's hernia? The hernia behind the roux limb. The hernia behind the roux limb. So if this is the roux limb, anything is going from this side, the hernia behind the roux limb is known as Peterson's hernia. And if you see what is C, it is hernia behind the Y limb. So hernia behind Y limb, and if there is hernia behind Y limb, that is known as the Y limb hernia or the Stemmer's hernia. So बच्चे कौन से तीन hernia देखे? The transmesocolic via transmesocolic defect, Peterson's via defect between the mesentery of the transverse colon and the roux limb. What is the, you can say, Stemmer's hernia? It is the hernia between the Y limb and the, you can say, and the mesentery. So these are the three classical internal hernias that we see. Let us move to the next question and let us see. Identify the defect shown in the image. Bachche, this is the historical image of a cartoon character, Andy Gump, and Andy Gump was a bit hysterical. Why he was hysterical? Because if you see carefully, there is nothing known as the mandible. Mandible kuch hai nahi. So there is nothing you can see in the lower you can say the jaw is not visible. So what is this Andy Gump deformity? So prolapsed floor of the oral cavity, floor of the mouth, and when it will happen? Because the mandible. So if you see, this is the mandible. If this is the mandible, this mandible is a support for the, you can say, floor of the mouth also. So prolapse will happen when you will actually resect of a segment of the mandible. Remember students, if you do total mandibulectomy, it's a different scenario. Suppose you have done a segmental mandibulectomy. So you let me do a segmental mandibulectomy. So whenever you do a segmental mandibulectomy, there is loss of support. So there is loss of support to the floor of the mouth, and since there is loss of support to the floor of mouth, the deformity, unsupported floor of the mouth, this deformity is the Andy Gump deformity. It will never happen if you still have half of the, you can say, floor. So hemimandibulectomy nahi, dental extraction no, it is segmental mandibulectomy where you will see this, not even submandibular gland excision. Bhai gland excision mein kyun hogi? So Andy Gump deformity, this is seen when you do the arch of mandible resection. So कई बार ऐसे आता है arch of mandible resection, कई बार arch of mandible resection word नहीं दिखा होता है, तो segmental mandibulectomy will be the answer. US Assembly का आया हुआ क्वेश्चन है, that is why I have incorporated in this. बच्चे इस फोटो को देखो, identify the patient, identify the procedure which was shown in the Zenker's, it is written Zenner's, it is Zenker's diverticulum. पहली बात, everyone knows that Zenker's diverticulum is a pseudo diverticulum where there is outpouching of the mucosa submucosa across the Killian's triangle. So बच्चे कई बार we do an endoscopic intervention for them which is known as a Dolman's procedure. So when we talk about the Dolman's procedure, what is Dolman's procedure? It is very simple. It is endoscopic resection of the pouch, along with that the pouch to wall anastomosis. I'll tell you about each and everything. Let us understand few important things. Let us remember few important things about the Zenker's, and with this we will also study and revise the Dolman's procedure. Very important. So I'll just quickly go through the Zenker's. Bachche, when we talk about Zenker's diverticulum, what are the 2-3 must know points about Zenker's diverticulum? Is it a true? No, it is a pseudo diverticulum. What is another name for Zenker's diverticulum? बताओ फटाफट. It is also known as cricopharyngeal eclasia. अब आप एक बच्चा कहेगा सर cricopharyngeal eclasia, eclasia में होता क्या है? The hypertension of the lower esophageal sphincter is seen in eclasia. Same चीज अगर upper esophageal sphincter में हो जाए, so इसको कहते हैं cricopharyngeal eclasia, or the, you can say, or the Zenker's. So the problem with Zenker's is that normally you have this defect. What is this? Sir, oblique thyropharyngeus and horizontal cricopharyngeus. So if you see the posterior wall of the neck of the esophagus, this is the posterior wall of the esophagus. So you have a defect, and this defect is present since birth. सब में होता है. So this is thyropharyngeus and this is cricopharyngeus. With the increase in the age, as the age increases, there is increase in elastin fibers. You know, elastin will actually, there is decrease in elastin, and this is known as hyperelastosis. There is hyperelastosis. So when we talk about hyperelastosis, what do we mean? There is increase in type 3 collagen. So when there is increase in type 3 collagen, the tone increases, and when the tone increases, they fail to relax, and then when they fail to relax, there is an increase in pressure proximal to the sphincter, and that is why what will happen via this triangle. So this is the Killian's dehiscence or Killian's triangle. There will be outpouching, and this is known as Zenker's diverticulum. But quickly, there is a diverticulum. There is a defect below the, you can say, cricopharyngeus also. लेकिन यहाँ पर diverticulum नहीं होता. Why there is no diverticulum here? Because this is below the sphincter. Below the sphincter तो pressure जाता ही नहीं है. And what is this triangle known as? This triangle is known as Lemierre's triangle. So when we talk about the Lemierre's triangle, what is this Lemierre's triangle? In between the cricopharyngeus and the longitudinal muscle fibers. So longitudinal muscle fibers of the esophagus, they will form Lemierre's triangle. This is the Killian's triangle. Killian's triangle का concept मैंने आपको बताया. Why I have given so much of time? So that you understand the management. बच्चे Mucosa, submucosa, which is popping out of this is not important. The tone is important. So if you want to treat these patients, you will have to do a myotomy. आप किसी भी साइज का यू कैन से डायवर्टिकुलम ले, अगर आप मायोटमी नहीं करते, इफ यू डोंट डू मायोटमी इट विल रिकर. सो व्हाट इज द क्लासिकल मैनेजमेंट फॉर देम? अंडरस्टैंड, myotomy is integral part of this. So myotomy is mandatory, and along with that plus minus you can go for resection or you can go for the classical plasty. So this is known as diverticulopexy basically. So either you can go for resection, that is diverticulectomy, or you can go for diverticulopexy. बच्चे ये दो चीज़ें डिफरेंट हैं, समझना. अभी ये तो मैंने जनरल मैनेजमेंट बताया, अब इस मैनेजमेंट को डिटेल में समझते हैं. सो व्हाट, how do we plan? This depends upon the defect size, or you can say the defect is diverticulum size. So based upon the diverticulum size, lot of things are there. बच्चे, if it is less than 2 centimeter, less than equal to 2 centimeter defect, you don't need to do anything, only myotomy is sufficient. You do the myotomy, that is sufficient. जैसे ही टोन कम होगी, म्यूकोसा सबम्यूकोसा will shrink and come back in. Remember, myotomy of both thyropharyngeus plus cricopharyngeus. If it is more than 2 up to 5 centimeter, myotomy तो करोगे ही करोगे. Along with that, you have an option of diverticulopexy, or you can say or diverticulectomy. It is your choice. More than 5 centimeter, it is too big and will create a lot of nuisance, like halitosis will be there, impending obstruction. So more than 5 centimeter, myotomy तो करोगे ही करोगे, and along with that diverticulectomy is mandatory. अब you know, everyone says, sir, can we do anything endoscopic? Yes, endoscopic management भी समझो. I hope you know about POEM. What is POEM? Per oral endoscopic myotomy. So endoscopic management में सबसे पहले हम करते हैं यहाँ पर Z POEM. What is Z POEM? This is the POEM done for the Zenkers. It's a third space endoscopy. अभी भी नहीं पढ़ा है, मेरे नोट्स खोलो, अच्छे से मैंने पढ़ाया हुआ है. So Z POEM, and along with that plus minus you can go for resection, endoscopic resection. Now what do you mean by endoscopic resection? सीधी सीधी बात है, ये अंदर गए. This is the diverticula that we have. This is the normal esophageal wall. So esophageal wall ऐसी है ना? Yes. So what you will do? You will take a special endo-GI stapler and you will fuse this wall. So this is what is known as a Dolman's procedure. What is Dolman's procedure? The spelling is incorrectly written in that slide. So Dolman's procedure क्या होता है? It is defined as endoscopic resection plus anastomosis between the diverticulum, that is mucosa and submucosa. So mucosa and submucosa and the posterior esophageal wall. So this is what is Dolman's procedure. So I have explained you now. This, the image that you see is Dolman's. बच्चे, डूहामेल एंड स्टीवेंसन, डॉर्मैन बोल के कुछ नहीं होता है, डोरेमोन बोल दो, डॉर्मैन बोल दो, कुछ भी बोल दो, ये कुछ नहीं होता है. डूहामेल एंड स्टीवेंसन, दे आर द सर्जरीज विच आर posterior pull through. So they are pull through surgeries. When we talk about pull through surgeries, and they are done for Hirschsprung's disease. So Hirschsprung's disease, this is what is very common. So Duhamel, we have Stevenson's mucosectomy. Basically in Duhamel you have posterior rectal pull through. In, you can say, Stevenson's we also do a pull through, but before that we do a mucosectomy of the redundant mucosa. Next is, let us understand one more classic image in front of us. Following is the intraoperative image of a tumor, yellow looking tumor located in the adrenal medulla, not in the periphery. So पहली बात है, कैनरी येलो ट्यूमर देख के लोग कहते हैं ना, इट्स एन एल्डोस्टेरोनोमा. सो अगर एल्डोस्टेरोनोमा होता तो वो डिफेक्ट बाहर होता, समझे कि नहीं? सो एल्डोस्टेरोनोमा नहीं है, दिस इज अ क्लासिकल फियोक्रोमोसाइटोमा और ट्यूमर ऑफ एड्रिनल मेडुला. देखते, पेशेंट was hypertensive and diaphoresis and palpitation. Everyone knows that what is the classical concept of pheochromocytoma. Sir, in pheo there is excess catecholamine. So when there is excess catecholamine, पहली बात तो ये समझो, रटना नहीं है कुछ भी. whenever there is excess catecholamine, बच्चे ये कैल्टेकोलामिन पूरे दिन नहीं रिलीज होता है, इट इज पल्सेटाइल बिकॉज एवरी एंडोक्रीन ऑर्गन विल हैव अ पल्सेटाइल सिक्रीशन ऑफ द कैटेकोलामिन. सो जब जब कैटेकोलामिन रिलीज होगा देयर विल बी इंक्रीज इन द ब्लड प्रेशर and therefore you get to see episodic rise of blood pressure. If catecholamine is high, there will be palpitation. If there is increase in blood pressure, there will be headache also. Headache होगा, sympathetic stimulation होगा तो palpitation भी होगा और sympathetic stimulation होगा तो sweating भी होगी. So diaphoresis, palpitation and you can say episodic increase in BP. This is classic. This is known as paroxysmal hypertension. So this is a classical clinical presentation of a patient of pheochromocytoma. So provisional diagnosis हमने ऐसे बता दी. Now if it is a pheochromocytoma, it will produce metanephrines and these metanephrines will first go in blood, will be broken down in the liver by catechol, orthomethyl transferase and MAO-B, you know, monoamine oxidase B. So MAO-B और COMT से तोड़ेंगे, उसके बाद ये किडनी से रिलीज होता है with you can say as VMAs or metanephrines. So याद रखना metanephrine is the most stable persistent product that can be detected in the blood. That can be detected in the blood also and it can be detected in the urine. इसीलिए we will bet on the metanephrines not on the VMAs. So remember how to approach this. फटाफट इसको बच्चे देख लेंगे क्योंकि FEO again बहुत सारे लोग उड़ा देते हैं. So when we talk about the pheochromocytoma, what are the must know things? So whenever we have a suspicion of pheo, बच्चे यूरिन में कुछ भी करना है तो यूरिन पूरे दिन तो होती नहीं है, तो 24 घंटे की यूरिन कलेक्ट करनी पड़ेगी एंड देन ओनली यू विल डिसाइड. सो 24 घंटे यूरिन कलेक्ट करने के लिए यू हैव टू बी हैविंग अ लॉट ऑफ अरेंजमेंट्स. पहली बात क्या है कि कैटेकोलामीन्स एक नॉर्मल पेशेंट में भी बनते हैं. सो हाउ विल यू डिफरेंशिएट अ स्ट्रेस इंड्यूस. सपोज मेरी बीवी से मेरी लड़ाई हो गई, सपोज किसी का जॉब छूट गया, सपोज किसी को गुस्सा बहुत आता है, सारे केसेस में कैटेकोलामीन बढ़ा होगा, तो क्या मुझे फियोक्रोमोसाइटोमा है? सो फॉर दैट आई हैव टू एडवाइस टू द पेशेंट, देखो यू विल नॉट ईट चीज रिच प्रोडक्ट विच इज हैविंग टायरोसिन. लड़ाई बड़ाई नहीं करोगे, झगड़ा वगड़ा नहीं करोगे, टेंशन नहीं लोगे, ये दवाइयाँ नहीं खाओगे, आइसक्रीम नहीं खाओगे, जैम नहीं खाओगे, जलीज नहीं खाओगे. एक हफ्ते तक वो पूरा नाटक करेगा, उसके बाद यूरिन कलेक्ट करोगे, भेजोगे, द रिपोर्ट विल कम एंड से, यू विल से ओके मुबारक हो, दिस इज नॉट देयर. डू यू नो पेशेंट विल अब्यूज यू लाइक एनीथिंग बिकॉज एक हफ्ते तक उसकी पूरी जिंदगी आपने खराब करके रखी है. सो बिफोर यू कमेंट दैट आई विल गो फॉर यूरिन, ट्राई टू चेक इट इन द ब्लड, बिकॉज अगर कोई चीज ब्लड में ही नहीं है तो यूरिन में कहां से जाएगी. सो रिमेंबर व्हेनेवर यू हैव द फियो, द फर्स्ट लाइन इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज प्लाज्मा मेटानेफ्रिन, नॉट द यूरिन मेटानेफ्रिन. सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. सो इट्स प्लाज्मा मेटानेफ्रिन. whatever I am teaching you is correct from Sabiston, Campbell and Walsh and MD Anderson. मैं कोई वो भैया छोटी मोटी किताब से नहीं पढ़ाता, स्टैंडर्ड किताब पढ़ाता हूँ, चाहे वो FMG को पढ़ा रहा हूँ, चाहे नीट SS के बच्चों को पढ़ा रहा हूँ या सर्जरी रेसिडेंसी ट्रेनिंग चल रही हो, जो भी पढ़ाएंगे quality, brand is something which is, and that is why I don't write my name, I write Surgery Dada, because Surgery Dada is a brand. So plasma metanephrine, suppose plasma metanephrine is elevated or students plasma metanephrine is not elevated. बच्चे जो चीज़ प्लाज्मा में नहीं एलिवेटेड है वो यूरिन में कभी नहीं मिलेगी, एंड देयरफॉर द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फियो और यू कैन से पैरागैंग्लियोमा रूल्ड आउट. समझे कि नहीं? सपोज if the plasma metanephrine is arranged, then you will have to go for definite investigation or investigation of choice. What is that? 24 hours free metanephrine. समझते जाना, 24 hours free metanephrine. This is what is done. Now 24 hour free metanephrine can be elevated. बच्चे, if it is elevated, the diagnosis is confirmed. If it is not elevated, that doesn't mean that FEO has been ruled out. एक बार अगर प्लाज्मा मेटानेफ्रिन इज एलिवेटेड, बच्चे you need to have 2 negative samples. So if it is not elevated, then you will have to repeat urine free metanephrines and 24 hour free metanephrines. If the second time it is not elevated, then that means that what has been ruled out? So FEO or paraganglioma has been ruled out. Very 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 important, very important. बच्चे, ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है कि सेकेंड टाइम में जब आपने किया, सो इट इज एलिवेटेड, येस और नो, सो इट इज एलिवेटेड, इफ इट इज एलिवेटेड देन द डायग्नोसिस इज कंफर्म्ड। बच्चे तीसरे सिनेरियो ये हो सकता है, इट इज नीदर हाई नॉर लो। So what is this scenario known as equivocal? What do you mean by equivocal? Suppose आपने कट ऑफ रखा एक नॉर्मल पेशेंट में, सपोज 100 to 200 इंटरनेशनल यूनिट्स पर लीटर एक नॉर्मल पेशेंट का लेवल है मेरे आप में। अब अगर इसके नीचे है तो मैं कहूंगा लो, और अगर 2000 के ऊपर है तो मैंने कह दिया हाई। सो नॉर्मली फियो के केसेस में जो भी रीडिंग्स आती है वो 2000, 4000, 5000 आती है। सपोज रीडिंग आ गई 500। अब 500 दो वजह से हो सकता है बच्चे, नीदर इट इज हाई नॉर इट इज लो, सो इट इज नॉट बिलो द नॉर्मल कट ऑफ ऑल्सो, इट इज नॉट above also that it can be crossing the threshold. So दो वजह से हो सकता है सर, आइदर ये जो ट्यूमर है बड़ा वीक है, दिस ट्यूमर इज वीक एंड इट इज नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग सफिशिएंट कैटेकोलामीन रिलेटेड स्टिमुलस, या फिर ऐसा हो सकता है मेरे को गुस्सा बहुत आता है, मेरी लड़ाई हुई है, आई एम हैविंग द ब्रेन विच इज under the stress and that is why there is more and more release. So whenever there is equivocal, there could be two things. The origin for this catecholamine could be either brain induced, either the brain activity induced, or students or it could be the tumor induced. So बच्चे ब्रेन को तो कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, ट्यूमर को नहीं, एंड देयरफॉर यू विल बी गोइंग फॉर क्लोनिडीन सप्रेशन टेस्ट। 2 इंटरनेशनल यूनिट्स पर केजी पर मिनट के हिसाब से दोगे, 2 से 3 मिनट में सारा इफेक्ट आने लगता है। सो क्लोनिडीन इज अल्फा 2 एगोनिस्ट विच विल सप्रेस द ब्रेन। सो क्लोनिडीन सप्रेशन टेस्ट बच्चे लास्ट अभी ये जो आईना सेट हुआ है उस पर उस पर क्वेश्चन आ गया है फियो पे। सो क्लोनिडीन सप्रेशन टेस्ट, इफ इट इज पॉजिटिव, that means if the level goes down, what do you mean that if the level goes down, if there is decrease in catecholamines, if there is decrease in metanephrines when you go for, so if this is positive then FIO is ruled out because it was due to brain, so FIO ruled out। बच्चे कौन कंट्रोल में नहीं होता है? if it is negative, if there is no suppression, that no decrease in metanephrine is seen, then that means it is due to FIO or paraganglioma. This is what is mandatory. So what is the management? So we have done everything. The management is resection has to be done. So when we talk about resection less than equal to 6 centimeter, we can go for a lap. More than 6 centimeter we prefer to go for open. ऐसा नहीं 8-9 सेंटीमीटर में भी लैप हो जाता है, कहने की बात है। Now one very important thing is pre-operative preparation is important. When we talk about pre-operative, why? Because the moment you stimulate or you touch FIO, there will be release of what? Catecholamine, and intraoperative hypertension will be there. So therefore you start with alpha blockade 2 weeks prior to surgery. So 2 weeks prior, and then add beta blockade. Why beta blockade? So that cardiac, you can say, stimulation is prevented. So this is 2 days prior. So 2 weeks prior you will start for phenoxybenzamine. During OT, intraoperative hypertension should not occur, so phentolamine is the drug of choice. 2 दिन पहले बीटा ब्लॉकेट, और जैसे ही सर्जरी करोगे कैटेकोलामीन का स्टिमुलस कम हो जाएगा। सो अल्फा एगोनिस्ट इज गिवन आफ्टर, जस्ट स्टार्टेड विद इन 6 hours आफ्टर सर्जरी, एंड इट इज कंटिन्यूड फॉर at least 2 weeks. So this is done. So let us go, and I have already discussed this question. I've already discussed on day 1. बच्चे I have discussed on the opposite side. What is this? This is left mobilization of right side colon. So right side colon का left side mobilization, what is this maneuver known as? Everyone knows that this is known as Kettle-Brach maneuver. I've already taught this in detail. I think on day 1 you can go and check back. So Kettle-Brach maneuver, same way if I do it on the left side and I do a right visceral mobilization, that will be known as METOX. और उस इमेज में मैंने METOX पूछा था. Again everyone should be knowing that the colon is fixed, and it is fixed with the, you can say, surrounding with these peritoneal attachments. So if I want to go into the retroperitoneum, I will have to divide these peritoneal fold of Todt, which is known as white line of Todt. So बच्चे अगर मैं white line of Todt, if I divide the division of white line of Todt on the right, this is known as Kettle-Brach maneuver. If I do it same on the left side to enter the left retroperitoneum, this will be known as metox. Is that clear or no? And if I do the mobilization of the duodenum, this is known as cauterization. So these are certain important things that we need to understand. What is metox? What is cauterization? This is really very important. So when we talk about this, this is a very commonly used, you can say, instrument. The first of all, what is the size of this? So how can you just look at the size? एक तो size लिखा होता है. You can look at the color. Remember the orange and red. This is what is very important. So orange is 16, red is 18. Remember एक दो color और याद रखना. Green. This is what is 14. Next is, let us talk about more important things in this. Now what are the important things?